to the District 1 Quarterly Town Hall meeting. I know many of you are grabbing something to eat. Please make your way to your chair so we can go ahead and get started. We have a very full agenda and a lot of great information to share with you this evening. I want to thank each and every one of you for coming out, spending a little time with us this evening to make you apprised of a lot of great development that's going on in the city and in the district in particular. Today with me, we're going to kick things off with Jason O'Connor. He's with the Fulton County Homestead Department, and he's going to share some information about the homestead exemptions that are available. The deadline is fast approaching, so we want to make sure you're aware of those exemptions that you might qualify for. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Jason O'Connor.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. I just want to thank you all for coming out today. And my purpose here is to just briefly go over the homestead exemptions and what we do. So I'm representing the Fulton County Board of Assessors Homestead Division. And homestead, as you, how many people here know about homestead exemption? Okay, awesome. So the homestead exemption was created by the state law, just for a fun fact. And what we do is we offer a reduction in property taxes that you pay. And how that works is your properties are appraised at fair market value on or before January, on January 1. So 40% of your fair market value is called the assessed value of the property. And what the exemption does, it reduces the assessed value of the property, which in turn reduces the property taxes that you pay. However, there are different categories of exemptions that you can apply for or qualify for. And it starts out with the basic homestead exemption. For the basic homestead exemption, you of course need to own and occupy the property. So you can't just occupy the property, but your name has to also be on the deed. Once your name is on the deed, you qualify for homestead exemption. And at minimum, for the basic homestead exemption, all you need is a valid driver's license or a valid state ID. And if you own a vehicle, you have to provide a copy of the vehicle registration. Right? And the vehicle has to be registered in Fulton County, preferably at the property address. Now, that's for the basic homestead exemption, but the county also offers special senior exemptions starting at age 62. And at age 62, of course, there's an income requirement for each age bracket. You have to be making $10,000 or less, and that can be on your Georgia state return. And also at age 65, the income limit for seniors who are 65 and older is going to be $91,700, I believe it's $21 gross. So not taxable income, but your gross, your adjusted gross. And of course, if you are married, then we look at your incomes together, right? We look at household income actually. So if you have other individuals living in the household that's receiving income, we take into consideration all that income that you're receiving. So as such, to apply for the special senior exemptions, you would still need to have at minimum the driver's license or a valid state ID. You still have to have the vehicle registrations if you own a car. And then you need to provide your federal and state tax returns. Now, I'm aware that not everyone may have filed for 2023 as yet. So if you have a 2023 tax return, you can provide the 2022 federal and state tax return, and that will help us. That will show us what your income is, and that will help you to qualify for any exemption. Also, if, let's say your income exceeds the threshold of $91,721, then you can qualify based on age only. Meaning, if you're 65 and older, on or before January 1, the county offers a $50,000 value exemption off the Fulton County operating portion of your taxes. And that's called a basic senior homestead exemption. Now, that's if you exceed the income limit, then you still qualify for that exemption as well. All right. And then if you're over the age of 70 as well, on or before January 1 of this year, then you also qualify for over 70 senior exemptions. And the requirements are the same in terms of identification. If you have a vehicle, you still have to provide the registration for your vehicles, and also your federal and state tax returns. And once again, that's household income. In addition to the special senior exemptions, we also offer a disability exemption. And that disability exemption requires you to be totally and permanently disabled. So if you know of anyone that is, you can also relay the information on to them. If they're permanently and totally disabled, then you qualify. But it's also based on income. So the income limit is still that 91,000. Let me just verify as well. Is okay, so correction is 91,728. That's the income limit. That's the requirement to qualify for any income-based exemptions or the disability exemption, 91,728 adjusted gross. Now, that's for the disability exemption. You still have to be the owner. Any exemptions at all that you're applying for, you have to be the owner on record on or before January 1 of this year, and then you have to apply before the deadline, which is April 1st. So ultimately, the deadline is April 1st each year, but this year is April 1st, 2024. If you miss the deadline in the exemption and you come in and apply after April 1st, it will apply to 2025. So it's very important that if you're trying to lock in the exemption for this year, that you must be the owner on record by January 1, and then you also must apply before April 1st for those exemptions. In addition to the disability, we also offer a veteran exemption. So for veterans who are rated as being 100% service-connected disabled, you can provide a letter from the Veteran Administration, and it must document that you are 100% disabled, service-connected. Then you would still need to provide all the other documentation, ID or a valid driver's license or a valid state ID, as well as if you own a vehicle, the current vehicle registration, all right? And your driver's license or vehicle registration needs to at least have that property address on here. You have to show that you're actually living there, right? In addition to the veteran exemptions, if there's anyone who is a surviving spouse of a veteran, then we also extend that exemption to the surviving spouse. But you must be unremarried. And you also have to provide a letter to evidence that you're the unremarried surviving spouse of a veteran who is 100% disabled. Right? So that's for basic exemptions, special senior, disability, veteran exemptions. And a key requirement, like I mentioned before, for the senior exemptions, whatever the age requirement is, you have to be that age on or before January 1 of this year. So for example, if you turn 65 after January 1 this year, then you won't qualify for an age 65 exemption. You have to apply for the 2025 tax year. All right? And there are different ways as well that you can apply for homestead exemption. You can apply online, and I'll display the website for you so you can copy it as well and direct you to the portal. You can also mail in the documentation to one of our locations, which will also provide you as well as you can come into any of our locations and apply in office with the documentation. Whichever means you use to apply, you have to do so before April 1st. So regardless of how you apply, online, by mail, or in office, it has to be done before April 1st. If you are planning on mailing the application with the supporting documents, it's advised strongly that you mail it certified. That way you have something to show that you met the April 1st deadline, all right? Also, if you opt to apply online, you have to create an account via our website. And once you submit the information, it gives you a filing ID, and that way you can track the status of your exemption with one of the clerks. You can call in and provide us the ID number, and we can check on it for you. As well as if there's an issue with it or you need additional documentation, we return the filing to you so you can make the necessary changes. Okay, so this is our website. The website is fultonassessor.org. Once you get to the website, on the right, you see a drop down or a menu where you can go to the exemptions tab, or you can just go on online services as well, which is here. But if you go on the exemptions tab, what it does, it gives you an overview of what homestead is, and it gives you some more information, as well as there is a guide that provides you more in-depth information on the exemption amounts and so on. But to get to the website, to get to the portal, you click on online services. We can scroll all the way to the bottom. And there's going to ask you to click on a link to access the portal. Once you click on the link, and these are a number of different things that you can do online as well. File a homestead exemption or file an appeal during the appeal season. Or once you click on the link for homestead, it's going to ask you to create an account. And you go to, if you're a new user, you just go to new user and set up an account with an email and a password. If you're an existing user, you would just log in, of course, with your email and password, and you can search for your property using your address or the parcel identification. The parcel identification can be found on your property tax bill. If you don't have the parcel ID, then you can use the address as the search criteria. And then it's pretty straightforward. Once you pull up your property information, it takes you through all the different pages. And then it lets you upload the documentation at the end. And then you just submit the filing, and it gives you that filing ID number and a confirmation that it's been submitted. As long as it's submitted before April 1st, then we consider that as you meeting the deadline. All right? Okay. And just to backtrack, for the special senior exemptions, I know that not everyone necessarily files a tax return. So an alternative is if you no longer are required to file a tax return, and you can provide us your Social Security award statement, award letters, which you can obtain from a Social Security office. And the award letter will show your income amount, of course, either for the year or on a monthly basis. And we would use that as your income. If you receive pension as well, and you can provide us a copy of your 2023 pension statement or your 1099. So whatever income, Social Security or your pension, preferably if you have the 2023 statements, then we'll take the statements if you don't file a tax return anymore. And one more key thing I wanted to highlight is where it says your name must be on the deed in order to apply. So if you just purchased a property, you know somebody that just purchased, they would have to provide the deed as well with the documentation, because the deed is going to show that you were the owner on record on or before January 1, and that qualifies you. Just remember, you have to actually not just be on the deed, but you have to be living in the property. It has to be considered your primary residence. Okay, so once again, on screen is our website, fultonassessor.org, where you can file online. And the locations, if you wanted to go in office, so we have an office in Alpharetta, and that is on Maxwell Road. There's an office as well on Roswell Road, that's the North Fulton Service Center. And then we have our office in College Park, which is 5600 Stonewall Road. Greenbrier Mall. And downtown, of course, we have 141 Prior Street, the 141 Prior Street office, and 235 Peachtree Street office. So those are all the walk-in locations where you can just bring the information in person or in office. And let me see if... So if anyone wanted to make a note of the locations, those are the exact addresses, including the suite numbers as well, that you can visit to apply for your homestead before April 1st. All right. Did anyone have any questions about any of the requirements or the process for homestead.
That's rare.
Questions at all? So I'm assuming everyone is well informed, which is good. If you have any questions, you can always give us a call. Our phone number is highlighted here at the bottom. It's 404-612-6440, and it's going to be option number 4 to connect to our department. Yes, ma'am. Sure.
If, let's say there's somebody, spouse precedes me in death, do I have to go through the normal process in order to get the same benefits that he had?
Yes, ma'am. So you would also have to be listed on that deed as the owner, and then you'd have to come in and apply for the exemption. So it's not grandfathered on to you. You'd have to personally come in and apply for it, and then it'll be under, the exemption would be applied to the property under your name. You'll be the new applicant. And that's a very good question, by the way. Right. Any other questions? Or?
Well, even if you're informed, we're glad that you're informed. Tell a neighbor, because some people don't know that these exemptions are available, and we want to make sure that our seniors in particular and our veterans are aware of these benefits. So, again, it's really important. And they have some handouts with some additional information that we'll make available on this table that you can take with you. At this time, we are going to ask our City of South Fulton Public Works team to come forward. We have a lot of projects going on. Raise your hand if you've seen some construction or repaving in the last 90 days. Yeah, that's what I like to see, right? So they're gonna talk a little bit about what they've done and what's on the horizon. You're gonna see a lot of activity this summer, and we want you to be aware of that. So, you know, I've been getting a lot of emails, what's going on. I see a covered up sign, so they're gonna share a lot about what we have underway here in District 1. Mr. Antonio Valenzuela, our Public Works Director.
Thanks so much, Ms. Rowell, for the invitation to share what Public Works is doing within District 1. Appreciate your time and consideration, the residents of the district. Again, my name is Antonio Valenzuela, Public Works Director for the City of South Fulton. What we want to share with you today is that we want to be able to display and encourage you to go into the website of the City of South Fulton, where we have up-to-date information on projects that are going on activities that are going on, the progress, schedules, and forthcoming projects. We want to make sure that you have a chance to look at, and then if there's some information that is not up to date and so on, we definitely want to have your input so we can update those project files. We update typically in a daily basis sometimes, minimum a weekly basis and so on, but all the information for you is available on the website. What we call is Public Works homepage, real-time information on our capital T+ projects. If you just click onto the link, it brings you right there into what project do we have for the City of South Fulton. And then if we wanna,
Work for him, so we're gonna get it back. It's almost done. It's almost done.
yeah.
Is it done?
Gotta love technology.
It's working right now. So this is what you will see on the web page. When you look at your project.
Did I do something? Yeah, right.
So we have a row right here on the top. And there's also a lot of the project codes that we use for any financial purposes or identifying anything with a project. Then we have the project name, the project type, the funding sources, the status, if a project has federal funds, ARC, GDOT, and so on, then your districts. So what we say is, you go right here, you click on your district, and then you're gonna select District 1, then anything that has number 1, because sometimes there are some projects that you share with other districts. So you wanna put 1 and 2 as well, and then you apply. And once you apply, it gives you all the projects that you have within District 1. Then you wanna be a little more specific to what you wanna see in District 1. Then you're able to apply, to click whatever fact sheets that you have right there, then it will provide to you the specifics of the project, the scope of the project, the budget of the project, and forecasted schedule on the project. If the project's under construction, you will be able to see at least signing and marking plans, which is the quickest reference on what you can look at, how a project might look like. Then if you wanna be more specific, right, you wanna see, I wanna see what projects are under design, what projects are complete, what projects are under construction. You can also filter out and just put it right there, what you're looking for, okay? Then if you wanna see, perhaps, I'm not interested in all those projects, I wanna see what type of projects are in my area. Might be sidewalks, might be intersection replacements, might be culvert replacements and so on. You do the same thing, and you go into the specifics. Then once you get into the specifics, you're gonna go into the fact sheet and you can read more. We're gonna run a couple of examples perhaps. So let's see Campbellton Road at Stonewall Hotel. Click the fact sheet. Right, that's a quick example that every single project that we're running has that information. The project scope, we don't acquire all the rights of way that we need for a project. That's a major holdup on a project completion date when we forecast and schedule. We want to typically do that for a project that has 12 parcels, meaning a small section of your land. It takes 2 years to acquire. And for different reasons, sometimes the offers to acquire a temporary easement or permanent easement or rights of way are done based on market and are done on fair market value. Sometimes we don't agree with the property owner, so we go a little higher up. Sometimes they come back and say, it's not $5,000, I want $50,000. So there's no middle range negotiations, right? So we go back and forth, and sometimes we don't receive responses, there's no follow-ups, and we find different things that people live in residences that the titles are not deeded to them, was deeded to their grandparents, and they're still living right there. So the process, it can, instead of being 12 months, it can become 2 years, 3 years, and so on. We do not want to do any eminent domain with anything. We want to agree with our community. We want to be fair, so we can move on and deliver the project that we promised that we're going to do for you. On this particular project, it was perhaps to let you know right here, the project started on February 28, 2023. It was forecasted to be completed March 31st. We are at 95% completion. We opened the new signal in Campbellton at the Stonewall Hotel, the realignment. We opened up yesterday. It's 95%. Now, all the vehicles are working through a new signal. We have left turns, right turns, true lanes, and so on. So traffic is gonna be much better, and we hope that we have less accidents. We also included street lights for that particular project, all right? So we shifted everything from an SQ angle that the intersection had, not signalized, and now it's a T intersection, and signalized and it's lit. So the little section that's missing to be done, we're gonna complete on the traffic, Otherwise, we will not be able to complete. So if we wanna see in that particular project, perhaps, what's going on the project and so on, go back into, so we can display what's going on with the project. Campbellton Stonewall Hotel.
The fact sheet?
No, the staff, where we have some actuals on the project. Go back. Where you can see the video on the project.
Or you mean,
So this is a fresh video that we got yesterday afternoon. We're able to open it up, and then you can see now, it's, what you see right there is a temporary striping. We're gonna be doing thermoplastic striping within 2 weeks, okay? But it's gonna look like similar to that. We have a new signal, we have a T-intersection, we have closed inside right here, the existing one right there, and then all traffic is riding much better than what it was before. We hope to do better things for the city. That's our intention. We hope to stay on the schedule and ensure that you all are happy with what we do. All right. Additional things that you need to be aware of. We do street sweeping. Street sweeping is only done to maintain the inlets free of debris, to maintain the gutters free of the leaves that drop onto the ground from somebody else's property, right? The trees that you have in your front yard, the trees that are in front of your house, you have to blow it, not into the street. You pick that up and put it somewhere else, right? If you put onto the street, then you're clogging my inlets. You're giving me more work. Subsequently, we're spending more money, tax dollars, to fix those inlets that were clogged. We have to hire somebody else. There are flooding, there are issues. What we want to do is we want to maintain the waters as clean as possible, so once we discharge finally into the oceans, are clean. So we want to be environmental friendly. So the purpose of the street sweeping is to be in compliance with EPD, to ensure that our gutters are free of debris, the inlets are free, and we can maintain and sustain our stormwater infrastructure to the best of our abilities. We do not do any sweeping within subdivisions, because we only have 2 street sweepers and 2 operators. And the primary reason is that we, as conscientious residents, staff, and residents of the city of South Fulton, we do our part, right? The rest, we can handle through other sources. Those street sweepers drive at an average of 3 miles per hour. When you see one of those vehicles, don't be going over. Just be a little patient. Drive slowly, let our folks do their jobs, and we'll be okay. We don't want one accident. Let them do their part, okay? Next. Also, when it comes to, perhaps we provide to you on the website, under Public Works, you have all the links here. The street lights. Your lights are out? I don't know. You call me, I don't know what's going on, but you know what's going on at your residence. You know there's a power outage, you got your bill, it's Georgia Power, Greystone. You pick that number, you call them. They're gonna ask you, what's your telephone number, what's your name, what's your address. When you call me, or you call your council, they don't know that information. You call them, they call me back, and they're gonna call somebody else, then I don't have the answers. But the quick response is, pick those numbers, call them up, and they're gonna give you a response very quickly to you directly. And then you can inform your neighbors and so on. And typically, they'll respond very fast, and it will be restored. It's a different story when you call, they promise you that it will be done within 3 hours, 4 hours, then they don't respond, then we'll help you out to get it done. But typically, with any of the power companies, this is what happens. Everybody calls them up, right? Everything is an emergency. Not because Antonio calling, they're gonna put the 10 calls that they received before, and they're gonna put my call on top of the other 10. It doesn't work like that. They take a number, they say, take your number, we have 10, we're gonna respond to the 10, then we'll respond to yours as well, okay? Then when it comes to, same thing for water. Water is provided by the city of Valenta. You have an issue with water, problems with water, you go call the number. For sewage, Fulton County, okay? If you ever have any problems, thanks to Ms. Rowell, there's a program that helps you out to resolve your issues from your water meter into your residence. So there's some insurance for water and sewage, right?
Correct.
It's done through a private contractor, but it's very cheap. But it's a good thing for you to have it. I wish I could have it, because I don't know when I'm gonna have it, because when it comes to restore, repairs, it's very expensive, right?
So can I just piggyback on that? You may have heard about the sewer line replacement program. That program is available, most people don't know. From your house to the curb is your responsibility. If something happens with that plumbing, it can be very expensive, in the thousands of dollars. This program, I actually learned about it when I went to the National League of Cities, and I brought it back to the city of South Fulton. So it's the equivalent of an insurance program, if you will. And again, if you subscribe to that program, you have an incident, you just call them and they deploy the plumber to address the issue. You know, so it's an option, you're not required to participate. I just wanted to make it available because I have had a number of incidents where people have had failed septic systems and all kind of things since I've been in office. And so this was a way to try to bring a resource for people who were a little surprised about the costs associated with either replacement. So, again, they periodically send out mailings. Those mailings are, again, it is a partnership with the city. You're not required to participate. It's up to you. Some people are good stewards and can put money aside for the emergency, but some may be not so good at this. So this might be a resource for you.
Okay, good. Continuing with the presentation, we also do capital projects, and some of them are federal funded projects, meaning that we have support from the federal government to do our projects. When we follow those guidelines, perhaps New Hope Road, Old National Highway, we've done Campbellton, the roundabout with federal funds. All those projects follow a specific criteria that it is beyond our I would say responsibility, because we got to follow with them. Gets approved, we go to the next level. Gets approved, we go to the next level, okay? Sometimes we put some of the items that we put on the capital, we say it's capital because it's over $50,000. We do the repairs for anything that's needed, but if it's gonna go over $50,000, it becomes a capital project, and we got to follow all the procedures, okay? A few other projects are under construction. Who's been at Danforth Road? Who lives close to Danforth Road? We got, right? Our project's looking nicer, right?
Little bit.
Considering that, you know, every time that you put sidewalks, sometimes we think, we just gonna put concrete right there, it's done. We put concrete underneath the sidewalks we have, the storm infrastructure, the stormwater infrastructure. Sometimes we cross from one side to another side, and we have to discharge somewhere else. Then we got to move all the utilities. We have gas that's underneath, then we have power poles on the sides, then hanging it on the power poles, you have cable, you have TV, you have many things. Then we have to deal with the watershed department. We have to relocate all the utility water, right? The water lines goes into your house. So there's a lot of details that we do when we do sidewalks. It appears to be an easy project, but it's more tedious to do it, but we'll do it. So the project, it's under construction. We're working side by side as the utilities allows the contractor to work. We're getting it done for you. Under my terms, the contractor is to be completed by April, May. I told them, I don't care what it needs to be done, but I'm gonna get it done by that day. Believe me, I have contractors that work, and they know who I am, and I'm gonna make it happen.
Excuse me, can I back you up just a little bit?
Absolutely.
Oh, I forget it, no, I'm singing. When you were talking about the the
Street
street
sweeper.
sweeper,
Yes,
I do understand you said we only have two.
yes,
And the purpose of those two, we don't do,
Subdivision
subdivisions, I understand that.
yes.
But, when we use that, the street sweeper, they our, workers, or is this contracted out?
No, it's, we're doing it-house.
Okay, so
Street
it's
sweeper.
done by
Public
our
Works employees.
employees?
Yes, ma'am,
Okay,
yes,
that's my question.
okay. That's Danforth Road. That was Campbellton and Stonewall Hotel. It looks much better. That's the video that we display. Go next, please. Eno Road over Camp Creek tributary. It's a smaller culvert that's underneath the road, on Eno Road. It's been there for years. Built off back in the days with wood. and the project was led to construction. We have a contractor, I'm sure you've seen it, some of the, silk fences that we have on the sides. We're gonna do all possible to provide the less disturbance. So our goal is to ensure that the project can be done as much as possible on the open traffic. But there's gonna be a moment when we have to tear down that existing structure and put a new structure. It's gonna be done with a floorless, box culvert that's gonna be going underneath. Okay, so we're gonna have to just, place the footings, then we're gonna drop in the structure right there, and then start filling that up. And then I'm hoping that within 2-3 months of construction, that's gonna be the time frame that we're gonna close Inland Road. So there will be a little delay for you all, but we wanna make sure that once we close, we're gonna be giving you plenty notice, at least 2 weeks before we're gonna close. So you can avoid that area and then just go around. The traffic is still gonna be for local traffic. If you live right there, you go in and out. But if you wanna go from Campbellton to, Camp Creek Parkway, you got to go around, okay?
And you did say 2 weeks before it's completed.
No, before we close the road, we're gonna give you, we're gonna ensure that we have enough public notice for you all to see, do not use that, do not go to Inland Road, just permitted for local traffic, okay? We'll put press releases and so on, it will be on Public Works website, the city of South Fulton will, put on, as a press release. I'm sure Councilwoman Rowell will do the same. But we do appreciate your understanding. You want things happen for the city, just bear with us.
How long do you think the project's gonna
The project is forecast to complete in 8 to 9 months, right? But the way how we're gonna do is, under open traffic, as much as we can, I'll only close it when we're gonna tear down the bridge, which is about 2 to 3 months, right? The next major project that we have is Federal Road, okay? Federal Road, we have a contractor in place, we're gonna be letting that project in the next 4 weeks or so. We have the replacement of Lower Utah Creek, South Utah Creek bridges, the sidewalks going all the way down to the intersection, the intersection improvement of Federal Road and Cascade Road. So it's a down deal for the city, a really nice project, and then at that point, yes, we will have to close it because we got 2 bridges. And still, we're gonna provide to you ample notice when we're gonna close the road. There will be press releases and so on.
Now, I noticed you did not, share with us the cost of all of this.
Oh, when you go into the fact sheet of every single project that you want to, right there is the actual cost. You wanna see anything on the project, you open that fact sheet, you're gonna see the dollar amount. When the project is not led to construction, it is an estimated cost. When the project is under construction, that is the bidded cost, the contract awarded cost. Okay?
That's through purchase.
No, it's on the fact sheets right here.
Okay.
It's on our fact sheets.
Okay.
Those are real costs, so we update our fact sheets as the project starts moving along.
I'm just trying to follow you. But go right ahead.
Okay.
I'll bug you afterwards.
Sure. All the projects coming in. New Hope sidewalks. A project sidewalks for you. We're gonna, the project will be letting for award very soon. I cannot discuss too much, but the project is a done deal. This project is federal funded. We have 80% federal funds, 20% local match. It's a deal for District 1, I'm sorry. Other projects, Cascade and FIB, it's an intersection improvement done by the Fulton CID. We're overseeing the project. The project is also with federal funds. That should be coming up in the next years. Next, please.
I'm sorry, what are you saying is gonna happen there?
The Cascade and FIB, it's a project that's been administered by the Fulton CID. It's a federal funded project. We're overseeing it, but it has some guidelines that we have to meet. It's not something that's gonna happen in the next 3 months or so. But under the fact sheet, we also have the schedules for that particular project. Next, please. The traffic signal, Kimberly Road and Cascade Road, it's all, we are, the final plan is designed. We are on the final stages of assuring the needed rights way for that project. As soon as we resolve with the property owner, we're gonna let the project to construction, and then we'll have a new signal right there, Kimberly and Cascade Road. We have other projects that you probably haven't seen. When it comes to, paving conditions of the roads, all the roads in the city of South Fulton, it went to a fair assessment, which is called a PCI, a paving condition index. So that means that when you have your own vehicle, right, if you don't change the oil, you have to change the vehicle, right? You have to change the oil. With a PCI, it comes from 0 to 100. At the city of South Fulton, I think we're the only ones in the metro area that invested almost $60 million in the past 4 years resurfacing roads. Now, our roads, believe it or not, are at a much better condition than other areas. We want to keep up our roads at least at a fair condition. That means that about every 6 years, we have to mill and overlay. If we wait for a road that's already falling apart, it's gonna cost us more money. It's cheaper to change the oil on the schedule than changing the full engine on your vehicle, or have to buy a new car. So that means that I'll be presented to council this year an average of $12 to $15 million just to resurface and maintain the roads for the city of South Fulton in a yearly basis. Right now, I think we're at a critical point right here, and our roads are at 50. So what we've done for the city of South Fulton this year, under T/2, we had 3 tiers. Tier 1, project that the PCI was 30 and below. Tier 2, 40 and below. Tier 3, 50 and below. Right now, we're almost 99% complete with Tier 1. It was forecasted to be done in 23, 24, and 25. We're gonna complete this by the fall of this year, those 3 tiers. So all of the roads that are forecasted will be done this year, and our roads will be at, I hope that at 50, 55, 60 PCI. And going forward, I'll be working already to come up with a plan of action for subsequent years.
Mr. Valenzuela.
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to point out something, because a lot of times people call and they say, hey, my street hasn't been paved in 40 or 50 years. We assess every street in the city of South Fulton, and so they're basing it on that priority, like you said, 30, 40, and 50. We're getting the streets that have the worst conditions. All of them are not equal, but we are consistently putting money to city council in terms of trying to play catch up for a lot of years of neglected paving. So it's a report that was prepared, and you can go in and manipulate and kind of move around, but you literally can see all the streets on the city. It's very interactive, but again, Public Work has consistently been working to try to take those streets that have been in poor condition and bring them up to snuff. So I hope you're as excited as I am about the progress, because everywhere you go, literally is paving all over the city.
All right. So at the Fulton Industrial Boulevard, because like Ms. Rowell stated, it was neglected, right? It's an industrial area. We have like 18-wheeler going up and down. It's an industrial area. Most of those roads, you cannot repave. You have to do full depth reclamation. That means that you have to fix the base and come back out and rebuild the roads. So we have a good number of those roads as listed right there for full depth reclamation. So we're gonna do all possible to get that done, and then we need more money, we have to ask for more money. Otherwise, the roads, you'll see all those big potholes that there's only much we can do. When you lose the road, you have to come back from the base, all the way up. We have to rebuild it.
Well, one thing we have to do, because I noticed we did repave New Hope Road, but I am constantly seeing these tractor trailers going up and down New Hope Road. We have got to stop that. Otherwise, we're gonna keep repaving and repaving. We've got to really watch it, because a lot of them are not supposed to be inside 285, but they come in anyway, and they shouldn't be in unless they're delivering at, one of the local stores.
Right, that's correct. And unfortunately, when it comes to paving conditions, things have changed. In the past, it used to be done every 8, 10 years. But in the past, you didn't have solid waste, you didn't have many school buses, you didn't have Amazon running all up and down. Everything have changed. The number of vehicles was less. Now we have more. Subsequently, the use of the roadway is much heavier. So we got to do it more often. So those kind of things, people don't understand, but when you start analyzing, having a discussion with others, why are we doing this every 5, 6 years now? Because 10 years ago, we didn't have those situations. Now we have more schools. We have more MARTA buses. Everybody wants MARTA buses. So MARTA's coming through all over roads as well, right? The school buses all over, Amazon all over, and so on. All our kids have vehicles. They have fancy vehicles, right? They don't want to drive at 35 miles per hour. And 35 miles per hour, they drive at 70. They stop at the intersection. They mess up all the roads. All right, the next phase, please. On the planning phases, we have other projects that we hope, it's our intention to start working this year on design purposes. Now that I've seen it, our consultants come up with dollar amounts, charging for design and so on. We also are smart. We're gonna do we're gonna take a different approach, how we're gonna get the money from them, and how we're gonna make it happen at a lower cost. But I won't tell you that one. I'll tell you once we get the best quote, okay? But we have Cascade Road coming in, still Atlanta limits to Fulton Industrial Boulevard. That's a new sidewalk project that's coming in for the city, for District 1. Project that we have done, resurfacing, we have completed Baker Ferry Road. Boat Rock is coming up, but on Boat Rock, we might have to delay because Fulton County sewage expansion is coming in. Under the sewage expansion, I didn't want to talk too much because I want to meet with them tomorrow. But a few roads that will be impacted is Boat Rock, it's Campbellton Road, New Hope Road, and Elbert Road.
I thought we had another year before they come in.
Nope, they're coming soon.
Is this year or next year?
So the 30% plans are done. They're gonna move on with 30% to do a design build for those roads. Okay? All right, I hope I didn't miss anything. If I did, I'll be glad to answer any questions that you may have. All right, do we start from the top, all right, we'll start from the back, we come out this way. Yeah?
Nelson?
We're talking about public works, okay, I guess we're talking about the environment also. Looks like, South Fulton should be more proactive in dealing with plastic. We got plastic everywhere, and we say we'll put it in the landfills, and this stuff stays there for years and years. And right now, we got a system set up where we have to go out and work road, and carry these balls. Is there any other way that we can put some on each block or something, where we can, I got stacks of, cause I used to work in the environment, so I'm probably more sensitive than the public, but we do need to be proactive in terms of, dealing with plastic in our community.
Absolutely, those will take it. We're working towards recycling stuff. As you know, we have our new program for solid waste collections and so on. And it's our intention to ensure that we are more sensitive when it comes to environment. Yes, ma'am.
Are there any plans to put sidewalks on Wallace Road?
On Wallace Road, it's been under the planning stage. We received that, but the way how things happen is that you have to continue discussing, bringing support from everybody, and then it will happen. Right now, the priority for District 1 is Cascade.
So isn't it on the, Mr. Van, is it not on the I don't know what tiers, because they have the tiers.
Yes.
Is it a tier?
Yes, sir.
Road and the recognized sidewalks are coming on. My first question, will there be a single, or is there a single point of contact in case a homeowner has a question for Public Works as the project begins Because there are going to be occasions where the customer needs a clarification as to what will happen once. And I'll lead into the next question. I recognize that in some areas, trees have been identified for removal. But in the case of my property, I have multiple properties on York Road. And in the case of 2 properties, no parcels were purchased by the city. So I have no indication as to the extent between the roadway and the edge of the sidewalk. So there are no markings. I think it'd be helpful to know that, particularly those who are landscapers, you may want to you have to remove certain plants before they're damaged. So I think it'd be helpful to have a point of contact, first of all, and then just have a sense of the timeline once the project starts.
Absolutely. Once the project is awarded by council, then it has to be awarded as well by Georgia DOT because we got federal funds. And then we're gonna have enough time to publicize everything. The contractor will be awarded. The first step the contractor does, they do the stake the entire right of way for the project. Then we'll have a construction inspector who's gonna be in the field constantly, and any questions that you may have on that particular project, you ask him, and we'll make sure that you have a proper response. In many occasions, public works staff goes back there to the field, discusses with residents and so on, because our inspectors don't necessarily have all the answers. But we're definitely gonna respond to any of you that, if you have any questions.
So for clarification, we will call Public Works.
Yes.
And you will find the answer.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good to see you.
Antonio, thank you very much. Speaking of Cascade Road and deferred gratification of the delivery of road projects, what is the status of the universally supported $25 to $40 million improvement of the Cascade 285 project?
We've done everything possible to work with Georgia DOT. He's referring to the Cascade Road interchange with 285.
Yes, sir.
That particular intersection, the northbound and southbound on the ramps to 285, it's over capacity. It's a narrow bridge, and there's not much we can do. And the city in Fulton County before, and the city's residents and so on, recommended and provided support to do a DDI for that particular project. We have a concept, unfortunately, it's not funded, and that's the primary reason why the project is not on the tip, under the Transportation Improvement Program with Georgia DOT. The project has to be funded in order to advance to the tip. So every time that the city has an opportunity to apply for bigger funding, we are applying for the project. We're loving for the project to move it. But GDOT's response is, look, we just gave you 285 on I-20, a multi-million-dollar project. You want that project or you want a smaller project? So those kind of games occur, but we haven't forgot about the DDI. Yes, ma'am.
First of all, I want to thank you. My street is being paid.
No, you're very welcome.
It's being paid. But, I guess for the last 4 years, I've asked this question, and I still have not gotten any answer. You keep saying you're gonna do it, but we haven't received it yet. I'm concerned about the sidewalk on Fairburn Road across Village to
On the opposite side.
to Garrison. We originally, before we became a city, it was supposed to be done from Cascade all the way to Garrison. We got it to one half of Village Drive, the other half to Garrison has not been done. So I've been asking if that is in. I know we've been told that that was, part of T-Splotch and all that, and I haven't looked at the, guideline, yet. It's been a while since I looked at, because, I was looking to see when my street was gonna be done.
No, but
But I don't know if that is still going to be done, or if it's in the work, or if you can work with whoever, because I know they did the right of way back in the day. You know, so that was before we became a city. That's when we were still in unincorporated Fulton County.
Yeah, you said it correct, and, we don't wanna have uninterrupted sidewalks, right? We wanna have continuity.
Right.
And then I promise you, we're gonna get that part done. Because it comes from Walmart all the way down to Utah, you pass Utah, then you stop before Garrison. But we're gonna make that happen.
Because it
Okay?
stops right at Village,
Yeah, yes, ma'am,
and then it does not cross Village.
right.
Yeah, we know exactly.
And see, on the other side of Garrison, that is the city.
That's correct.
So they have the sidewalk
Yes.
all the way back to Campbellton Road. And it really looks bad right in there,
Yep.
so.
But we're gonna make it happen, I promise
Okay.
you. Yes.
I wait for 1 year.
Let me build it for you, the original, those two bridges, the sidewalk, the intersection, I will make that connection, yeah. I'll get back with you, ma'am, in a second.
How much of an increase in the tractor trailers are we gonna see in the future?
That's a good question, but, you know, I'm Public Works, I'm not PD.
No, I understand, but the factories are being built. I mean, not factories, but these, housing facilities, for merchandise are being built.
Yeah. It's, something that we'll research for you and then definitely get back with you.
I think it's something that needs to be said, because people ask a lot of questions. In District 1, the majority of our roads are state roads. Fulton Industrial, Campbellton Road, Camp Creek, Cascade Palmetto. He's being, we don't have control over that, to be honest. I don't want to say anybody. But, we have worked really hard to improve the signage. We have a number of residents, I'm a chairman, I have a whole crew on Boat Rock, they call. They've been working really close with our police department to increase the ticketing along Cascade. That's what we're working towards. We had a flashlight, we've done as much as we can. We're gonna continue to, look at ways, that's why we have the roundabout. It was to try to calm the trucks so we wouldn't have so many. I think we're doing as much as we can to try to stay on top of that, but these are state roads, so I had to say that.
And do you think it's possible for us to be able to get the engineer from,
Gina,
to come in, the one that's over this area?
Paul Denard.
Yeah, get them to come in and listen to us about what it is that we're seeing happening. Because I truly believe that they don't get enough, they don't hear enough from us.
Well, we had a town hall with Paul Denard this past fall, and I don't think it's a problem, but he's always responded, so I don't think it's a problem with bringing him in, and he was here, it was at the Southwest Arts Center.
I remember that.
And so, I think we can bring it back for a future, town hall to discuss whatever you like.
Yes, ma'am.
Are there any plans for sidewalk on Union Road where our kids walk back and forth to school?
Yes, there are plans, ma'am.
Okay, give me
Actually, there are plans, so there are plans. We're actually requesting,
Traffic stuff.
on Union Road, we are requesting a quote for the design of Union Road. So we taking two approaches. One, if we get federal funds, or the other one, if we're gonna go with local funds.
Okay.
Yes.
So, based on a lot of calls over an extended period of time, I requested a traffic study. I guess it's been about 9 months now, or thereabout,
Yes.
might be a year. We did get the traffic study done to look at what needed to change in that area on Union and Riverside. So as you come out of the side of Publix to stop that traffic from stacking, the study was done. Now we have to find the funding to get it done. So we are on top of that. I hear you loud and clear. I hear parents' concerns about their kids driving, all of that. So it is a priority.
Can I ask one other question?
Yes, ma'am.
Who is responsible for the, what do you call those things in the road, on Danford Road?
Speed.
Those,
Speed.
Speed
Why
ticket.
do they make them halfway and not full way across? it does so much damage to your car. You got one tire in and one tire out. Why you can't just put the whole thing across instead of making it, 3-4 feet wide, instead of making it 2 feet across, all the way across to stop the traffic?
We didn't,
Hang up your car.
we didn't install those.
Too many.
That section of what you're discussing is outside the limits of the city of South Fulton.
Oh, that's Atlanta, right?
That's the
I will tell you though, it's the city of Atlanta, but I know that residents have been advocating with the city of Atlanta to get one piece that goes all the way across. I'll follow up with Councilwoman Overstreet on that, but there have been, because they started calling me and then I had to direct it to her. But I know there's been a lot of advocacy around that, replacing those to have a strip that goes all across. So,
I want to piggyback on that same question about the speed bumps. There is also a safety concern. With the current design, some drivers with small vehicles will actually go up the middle. And you suddenly will be coming on downfall at the crest of the hill and find someone almost over in your lane. So if you emphasize a safety concern as well, that may urge them to.
absolutely.
Right.
We need to get rid of them.
Two more questions, right there, and then I'll give you questions, sir.
You're pointing at me?
Yes, sir. Please do.
I don't wish to be a troublemaker, although I don't mind being a troublemaker. But in response to your suggestion that the DOT says that they cannot deal with a huge problem in District 1 because they are devoting huge sums of money. You didn't mention this, but I've been driving up and down Georgia 400, and there's $10 billion worth of DOT investment there. And more specifically, the I-20 interchange at 285 is not a District 1 transportation improvement. That is a regional project that frankly makes, which is fine, which makes mobility better, but better for the region without much benefit for the district. And I just think that taking that kind of answer from Georgia Dunn, they're very powerful and they control the treasury. So we certainly, we've got to go begging. But I don't think we have to beg that hard because they are obviously spending money where people are begging better than we are.
Exactly.
And they are putting money in to tell you, and we know it, to tell you that they cannot put $25 or $40 million at Cascade Road, which has been supported for 25 years by this community, but they can put $1 billion on I-20 West, is ridiculous. That is something that we should not stand for, and we should respond with strength and with community unity as far as, wait a minute, that's not our district, that's not even Southwest. That is regional mobility, and regional mobility is important. Some of us go out to Alabama every now and then, so that's fine, but that's not helping this community one bit. And I think we just have to say enough of that. They don't like what we say, fine. They don't like what we say right now, which is we're begging for attention, and they're not giving it to us. So I would say the begging needs to stop, and insistence, unified insistence needs to start. With that, I rest my case.
Well, to that end, it's gonna take more than the city of South Fulton, it's gonna take the city of Atlanta. Because the funding for that project is significant. And I think you know well that I've been in conversation with the city of Atlanta on this, so we're gonna have to try to figure out how to get that done collectively. Because previously the money was in place before those annexation and it disappeared. And so, you know, we can't shoulder all that by ourselves.
No, you're right on.
Yeah, so it's bigger than the city of South Fulton, so I wanna make that clear, it's gonna
Yes,
take
my
multiple
criticism
parties.
is not of you, believe me, it is not,
Yeah,
because
so
I know you have been very much of an advocate for this. And we need to join you in that advocacy, and we do understand that the city of Atlanta, which is our neighbor, I mean, Cascade and 285 is the gateway to two of the most prominent black-run cities in America. And yet, we can't get the DOT to vote. You're on board, I know that. My criticism is not directed to either you or to Mr. Valenzuela, believe me, it's not. And I do know that the city of Atlanta needs to be brought on as well, and they have an equal dog in this hunt. They have as big a dog as we have. But again, it's one of those things where if everybody comes together and makes a lot of noise, then it gets heard at the DOT. Because I know somebody's making a lot of noise up Georgia 400, because when you go up there, you see nothing but billions and billions and billions of dollars.
When you move projects like that, you move it with the people. I don't think we know enough or don't know, and our council person needs help, and she needs to, let us know she needs us, and we need to be at the forefront saying, this is what we are supporting. You can only move this kind of stuff with people. You can't leave them out.
Thank you.
Definitely not trying to leave y'all out. And well, you know what, we need to probably re-engage this conversation with City of Atlanta. It's been a little bit, let's see what we can do and work on together, and I don't have any problem, reaching out to Councilwoman Overstreet to figure out, where we need to push, so.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, just a quick question in regards to Ena Road and Van Diver. Is there future development going on in that section over there?
Yes, probably, all development came into another department. I don't have that detailed information, but some kind of maybe,
Mr. McClendon, when he
gives in,
presents,
help you out.
we can touch on that,
Yeah.
we got you.
And lastly, you all see right on the new planting on the Cascade median we put a good number of planting. It's gonna look much nicer this year. It never looked that beautiful as it was before, but it will look much better. Thank you, appreciate your time.
As you can see, we have all kind of projects in District 1, a lot of great construction projects. Hopefully it improves our mobility. Next up, for some you may not know, our newest employee, well, one of our new employees is Greg Dyson. He also is a resident of he oversees our facilities here in the city of South Fulton, and he's gonna give you a couple updates about different projects we have going on in District 1. Many of you, I don't know, this may be your first time since we renovated Sandtown Rec Center. We're glad to have it back on, and, no part of this building has not been touched. And it's, as you can hear all the noise, it's in full use, so we're really excited about that. But Mr. Dyson is gonna tell you about some other things that are on the horizon.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Good to see you all here. Not only am I living here in District 1, I'm also a lifelong resident of this South Fulton community. So born and reared here, as we would say. I'm not going to belabor that. I just want to give you a quick update on some of the facility capital improvements that we have in process, as well as emphasize some of the ones that we have completed, starting with this facility here. My department was a newly established department October 1st of last year, and so I'm the first director of that department, and I came on board October 10th. And so when I came on board, I inherited the renovation of this facility that had been closed for almost 4 years or whatnot. And as you can see, looking around and being, walking around this facility, we've done quite a bit of things here. We spent nearly $1.5 million upgrading this facility. We still have a few small projects left to do here, starting with the connectivity of the exit ways on the back of the building to the perimeter sidewalk, so people won't have to exit out into the mud and what have you. And then I have some plans working on bringing some EV charging stations to not only this facility, but our other facilities here in District 1 as well across the city. And so the next facility will be our Southwest Arts Center that I'm sure many of you have been to, some of you vote there. I have plans right now on the books to do an upgrade to the HVAC system. We've already replaced one of the chillers there, and we're gonna go ahead and replace the other chiller for the theater building, and we're gonna upgrade the HVAC in the studio building. And again, we'll do EV charging stations at that facility as well. And I'm actually hoping to bring that facility online within the next 2 months with EV charging station. I'll be going before the city council to do a full renovation of the theater building as well, starting for fiscal 2025 budget, okay? And as Councilwoman Rowell says, my department handles all of the facilities in the city of South Fulton, as well as being the fleet manager. So some of the other facilities in District 1 that I'm sure you all are interested in, our beloved City Hall. I'm sure you all know it's been in the news lately about the mold discovery that we had there. I finally heard from the landlord today, and they're going to start a remediation of that facility on Monday. And so hopefully it'll be back online, say within the next 6 to 8 weeks. But we were very fortunate when that came down, that the city finally had the opportunity to purchase our first city-owned facility, and that's our Frederick building, the city administration building. And because we had that building, we were able to quickly relocate the majority of the staff at City Hall over to that building, as well as to Boat Rock, where Mr. Valenzuela's department resides. And so we're on the temporary CO for that building while we actually get it up to full standard, if you will, with some fire system improvements and things of that nature. But our city manager was very, how would we say, foreseeing to get us that building, because we purchased it from Ferguson, and they had done a multi-million-dollar renovation to that facility during COVID before we even bought it. And so we basically got a new building that was fully renovated. We just had a few more extra steps to go to bring it up totally to code so that we could occupy it on a permanent CO. Okay, and I'm sure a lot of you who've gone up and down Cascade Road have seen that we're doing work at the Tremel Crow Park at the tennis center. We're renovating those tennis courts. That work started in earnest earlier this year, and I'm hoping that that will be completed within the next 40 to 60 days. And so I think the contractor started on the second set of tennis courts. He has the first set ready to be paved, and he's gonna do the second set and then pave them all at the same time. So that's about halfway through on that project. And so, let's see if we have anything that pretty much touches the things that you all are impacted by. But again, you know, we handle all of the city facilities, and those of you who've been here as long as I am realize that all of our facilities up until the Frederick building were inherited from Fulton County. And they're all just about as old as I am, if not older. And so, yeah, so we are doing a lot of work to improve those facilities, as well as continue to improve the facilities that we have in District 1. So, any questions? I don't mind. It's pardon me for speeding through, but I know we have some other people who need to speak when we get in late. Yes, sir.
What is the address of the Frederick building?
4715 Frederick Drive.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, sir.
What kind of EV chargers are you installing?
Level 2. There'll be level 2. Through our research, we've come to recognize that the fast chargers really wreak havoc on the batteries of the cars, and they will cause your battery life to dwindle substantially. So we're going to go with the level 2 chargers. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Is the art center the same with the aviation art center they renamed it? That's
No.
totally different. Okay.
No, the Southwest Art Center is at 915 New Hope Road.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Right.
I'm so excited about touching that building. It really needs our love, so.
Yes. And she fights very hard. Very hard about the facilities here in District 1, and I don't mind taking it up with her because I am a little biased since, you know, I'm born and raised here. I live right around the corner off Cascade Road, so, yeah. Anybody else? Thank you for your time.
Where will you be housed?
I am at the Frederick Building.
At the Frederick?
Right, the non-public facing, departments are housed normally at the Frederick Building.
Okay.
And the public facing departments will be at City Hall. But right now, we're all kind of teaming up
Sandwiched in together.
sandwiched in together until we get City Hall back online.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Just to piggyback, if you don't have any other questions, he talked about the Frederick Grill. That was an acquisition that, the city council approved. We closed in December, I think, or it might have been January.
January 9th.
January, beginning of January. That's 40,000 square feet. And so, as he mentioned, these are all the, back office operations. Again, time was everything with that. It
Yes,
really
it
worked
was.
out. But the public facing departments are at the Boat Rock location where Mr. Valenzuela is located. So that's business license and all that. That's still operating on a daily basis until we come back into, our location on Fulton Industrial.
And that address is 6095 Oak Rock Boulevard.
Okay?
All right.
Now, without further ado, last but not least, we have Reginald McClendon. He's our Director of Community Development and Regulatory Affairs. I have had many people ask many questions about our future land use, kind of what we have on our horizon or are projecting for District 1. And I really wanted him to come present, ask your questions, look at what our future land use map looks like currently for District 1, get your feedback. And so, without further ado, Reginald McClendon.
I just wanted to move that over so that it can be hopefully in the live stream. All right, I am Reggie McClendon. All right, Community Development and Regulatory Affairs, what is that? We are the department that handles all of the development services for the city of South Fulton. That includes planning and zoning, building inspections, land development inspections, engineering, code enforcement. We also handle your business licenses, permitting, federal grant programs.
CDBG.
Yes, CDBG. So we're code enforcement. So
He has a lot of people
arborists,
under him.
trees, right. So we're a vast department. We handle quite a few things, but mostly anything touching private property is handled under my department. Anything touching public property is handled under Mr. Valenzuela's department. Anything touching city department is handled under Mr. Dyson's department, and so that's kind of how we split things up. So I am here today to talk to you about the District 1 future land use map. What is the future land use map? Well, it all stems from what's called the Georgia Planning Act. And the Georgia Planning Act is part of Georgia state law, which requires cities to engage in planning. And when cities engage in planning, they have to pass a comprehensive plan. And as part of the comprehensive plan, comprehensive plans have different elements that have to be part of that comprehensive plan, such as the transportation element, they have to have environmental element, etc. And one of those elements is a land use element, and what that consists of generally is a future land use map in which you take your city and you divide it up into different areas and you dictate what type of land uses will go in those areas. And you will generally split those areas up. The general designations are going to be residential, commercial, industrial, green space, etc. But of course, cities will decide they'll decide on specific types of character areas for that will define their city. And so the city of South Fulton has decided on a group of character areas that are specific to South Fulton. You see some of them on your future land use map there listed on the key. District 1 in particular has just about every type of future land use that we have in the city. It has industrial, it has low-density residential, it has higher-density residential, it has some mixed, some commercial mixed use, pretty much everything is there. So that's what the future land use map looks like. Now, how is that different from zoning? A lot of people kind of get those two concepts confused. Zoning is the legal designation that applies to a parcel of land that dictates the specific things that you can do with that property. It's going to tell you what you can build on that property. It's going to tell you how close you can build to the street, how high you can build it. It's going to tell you whether or not you have to, you can cut down trees or not, or if you have to replant them. It's going to tell you it might tell you what color you can paint the house. It's going to, it might tell you how many windows you have to put in the house, how many rooms you have to put on it. Zoning can be very detailed. But land use and zoning are two different things and two different concepts. Land use is much more general than zoning. So this is not a zoning map. If you look at our zoning map, it looks different from this. So how do these two things work together? Well, your future land use map is a projection of what goes on into the future. Generally, when we do planning, your comprehensive plan is going to be looking 40 or 50 years into the future. And then when you pass your zoning ordinance and when you update your zoning ordinance, what you hope will happen is that you will be passing zonings that will match that future land use, so that when someone comes in and develops that property, then they will make it look like what is on this map in front of you. And the reason that we do that is because we want to know what's coming. We want to be able to plan for infrastructure improvements and developments in the specific areas where we're going to have more development. We want to make sure that we have green space if we're going to have higher density residential development. We want to, people have parks. We want people to have roads, and we want things to make sense. And so that's why we do planning. That's why we do zoning, and it all kind of boils down into these types of maps that you see in front of you. So here's the exciting part. We get to go through this process again fairly soon. What we have planned in our current budget is to do a rewrite of our comprehensive plan. Our current comprehensive plan was passed in 2021. The way comprehensive plans work is that you have to update them every 5 years according to state law. But the city of South Fulton passed its first comprehensive plan in 2021. When the city was first incorporated, we adopted Fulton County's comprehensive plan that was already in place. And then the city passed its first plan in 2021. The feeling about that plan is that perhaps it was a little bit rushed because we had to pass it in order to make sure that we were in compliance with what we needed to do with the state. So now we're in a little bit of a better position to spend some more time with that plan. So we're gonna go out and find a consultant to help us to rewrite the comprehensive plan. And it's going to be a process. It's gonna take a little bit of time. We're gonna have a lot of public engagement. We're gonna have a lot of meetings just like this, where we're gonna ask you, what do you want these maps to look like going into the future? And so, with that being said,
Can you share with them, because people have asked, Then the staff prepares, their staff recommendations on the zoning case. What do you look to? What information do you look at?
Right, so when somebody comes in and asks for a rezoning, they're asking us to change the zoning designation of a parcel of property from one zoning designation to another zoning designation. And my staff will look at that application, and we will put together a staff report, and in that staff report will be a recommendation of either approval or denial of that rezoning request. Generally, and so people always ask, well, how do you make that recommendation? Generally, the way that we make that recommendation is by looking at this future land use map. And we say, does this zoning request match what is in the future land use? And if it does match what's in the future land use, then most of the time, we're going to recommend approval. If it doesn't match what's in the future land use, most of the time we'll recommend denial. Now, that does come with some caveats, of course, because every situation is different. But generally, the way we make our decisions on rezoning requests is based on the future land use map. Now, with that being said, it is possible that for the future land use map to change. All of these documents are living documents, and so future land use maps can be amended, just like zoning maps can be amended. And the city of South Fulton, being a young city, is still working through its processes on how we approve land use map amendments. We don't necessarily have a written process to do that as of yet, in the same way that we have a written process to do zoning map amendments. So that's something that we're working on now. But to answer council members' question, the way that we come up with our recommendations is that we look at the future land use.
I said that because sometimes people think it's subjective. It's really not. It's based on that map. And I know when we revisited this map in the past, we had a session over at the Southwest Arts Center, I remember. It was during the pandemic, and we had participation. But I'm saying this because it's really, really important that you come out to the meetings and weigh in on this. This is so important. It dictates all those cases that come before us if we take the time to get this map right, the way you want it. And so that's the key takeaway. As you hear about those sessions coming forward, please come out, bring your neighbors. You know, I can only serve based on the best information I have. And if you don't pour that information or I don't hear it, I don't know. You can't assume that I know. So again, I just want to encourage you to take this time. If you have questions about it, if you want to come up, take a look at your neighborhood, see what it says. It gives you something to think about as we go into this, as we think about changing it. So that's really the key takeaway. I think I see a couple hands in the back.
Yeah, and just so y'all know, Mr. Dyson is getting me an electric truck to ride around there, so you can just point to where you want the,
Mr. Mayor, you
Yes,
got a
sir.
question?
Yeah, I wanna know about these warehouses that we got coming up. A lot of them, are they in South Fulton, or are they in most of them, another area? It seems as though we kind of like catch up here. These developers that come in here, they got big money, and they buy this land, and they put all these warehouses. Are those warehouses in South Fulton?
Where are you talking about the warehouses? Because Fulton Industrial's always been industrial.
Yeah.
So anything we've done in this area has been on Fulton Industrial, nowhere outside of that. Now, a lot of people may ask about South Fulton Parkway because they think about that used to be unincorporated. That is Union City, and if you go down South Fulton Parkway, it says Union City pretty much all the way down. So
most of the warehouses off of Fulton Industrial are not in the city of South Fulton, but this entire area that is in the gray is an industrially zoned area, and the future land use for that area is also industrial. This is the largest industrial district on the eastern seaboard. So that area is industrial, it's gonna remain industrial, for the foreseeable future. And that is, most of the industrial land, in the district. So I do foresee there being some additional, warehouses going into the Fulton Industrial District. And perhaps some others, in some of the other industrial districts that we have in the city that are adjacent to other municipalities, like, in the Oakley industrial area, down near Fairburn, et cetera.
And I think it's some industrial as well, on Roosevelt Highway.
That's
So those
correct.
are the three areas in our city that are designated for industrial. They were already there. So we haven't designated any additional areas.
Yes, ma'am.
Do we still have any agricultural, land in, District One?
In district,
Actually, most of our land is agriculture, which is, most of the houses are sitting at least one house per acre.
yes,
The future land use may say residential, but they haven't gone through a rezoning, they were agricultural. A lot of the houses along Cascade Road, for example, are agricultural. But again, I think what's key about this map, if somebody wants to rezone their land, we would look to this map. And that's really key as we think about in the future, what that density looks like. And one of the things I know we're gonna do with our upcoming process is to designate areas, because things are changing very rapidly in the metro area, to designate areas specifically for the agricultural and the green space beyond our current parks that we have now, because we just need to do it, because things are just happening really fast.
Yeah, because I was just about to ask that question, because I don't see a lot of green space on there for the foreseeable future.
Well, we have a lot of green space now in our city. I mean, District 4 is primarily agricultural. And we have 17 parks. People know about usually 2 or 3. And so, in addition to that, we want to identify some additional areas. Of course, the city will have to plan for that. They'll have to acquire that green space, all those kind of things. But we are thinking about all of that.
yes, yes, sir.
So how do we go about, and first of all, let me just acknowledge that, Councilwoman Rowell, heard me introduce this, what I'm about to say, and is eager to learn more about it. So I want to make sure it's not an indictment or anything, it's new. But, what's the process, for us to begin discussing, building bike lanes as we're making, these roads and these places, because there are a lot of us who cycle. I've got to say, a lot of our cycling community does not think South Fulton is a very friendly site, but my experience is very positive. I believe the drivers are very courteous, and they may not know the 3-foot laws and those type of things, which we'll work with Councilwoman to make sure that we make them, the community aware of the responsibility in terms of cycling being permitted in streets and not sidewalks. But just want to know, in terms of development, what's that process that we can help to begin to help facilitate the construction of bike lanes as these streets are being developed?
Sure. Before I do my favorite thing, which is defer that question to Mr. Valenzuela. I am gonna make a couple of points. One, impact fees. We're also looking at implementing impact fees in our community for when developers come in and develop. They would have to make those types of system improvements to our streets, sidewalks, parks, et cetera. And one of the things that we could look at would be impact fees. And so that's something else that we have in this budget cycle to start looking at. And the other thing that I'll say is that master planning would kind of be the first part of that. Where are you biking from? Where are you biking to? where is it gonna make the most sense to implement these bike lanes, in the city of South Fulton. And then it would go over to my partner, Antonio, to figure it out.
You know, I'm a biker too, I like bicycles.
I know, seen you on the bike.
You haven't seen it. But you have like about 3-4 types, you know, on-road, off-road, multi-use trail, and so on. All of them have it's a specific widths and so on. 4 feet on-road, off-road on the side of the sidewalks, 12 feet, so you can have it both ways. At the city of South Fulton, we have one that, we did a demo for 3/4 of a mile at the Wolf Creek amphitheater. Behind the library, we have a 3/4 of a mile, a multi-use trail. So the intention was to extend from there and go to different locations. Back in the past, when I was at Fulton, we've done the South Fulton Scenic Byway, which Hills. We actually built on the underpass, South Fulton Parkway, on the second phase of South Fulton Parkway. We have a trend right there. But many things, it doesn't go forward because the lack of community support in many cases, right? Because if we want to expand more, we need the rights of way. We need to have buy-in from the community, back with your council and so on, and back with the city. And I think as a one group, including our director, we can make things happen. Now, if you're gonna update the comprehensive plan, that's the time. That's the time, and then when it comes to design and do that stuff, it's feasible. If we have the land, if we have the footprint, it's feasible.
And let me too, and I know, and I would definitely make sure we're a part of it, but, while again, the trails and all those things, good, and I do know that there are those, you know, the dirt bikes and things like that. So I'm actually talking about for road bikes.
On road.
Yes, on road, because, there's some of us who, will ride our bikes to work and those type places. But then when we do it recreational, then you may see a group of 15 or 30 of us, or even 100 of us on the streets. And so, you know, we've experienced a lot of deaths, in recent months, with that. And, you know, some cyclists are just saying it's too much and giving up. But, you know, I just wanna make sure that we do our part. And I would like South Fulton to be an example. Brookhaven has really, I believe, taking the lead on that. But, you know, but I believe South Fulton is ideal for being a very bike friendly.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Well,
Mr. Valenzuela, based on his comment and the fact that we know about the design Cascade Road, is it possible that as you look at the design of that could be a first step to see? I mean, we don't have a whole lot of roads being redone, but it seems like an opportunity since it's not been designed yet.
So on Cascade Road, you know, if you wanna do on-road, you will have to offset 4 feet from the edge of paving. And then you gutter, curb, be the strip, sidewalks. So you need about, easily, before you build everything, from the edge of paving, 15 to 20 feet inside private property.
You have not if you ask not.
So then you have one side, and you have the opposite side. Yeah. But there are many areas like, you know, South Fulton Parkway is a good one. Camp Creek Parkway, it's still feasible. You have in the middle right there. So on those state routes, but also, I remember on Johns Creek, we've done Medlock Bridge, it's on road, but nobody uses it. Right? So, but it's feasible. I think it's a larger conversation, a larger commitment, and then this should be the beginning.
And you just let me know, because there are several cycling groups that are here in South Fulton. And so we're definitely willing to do whatever's necessary to help support whatever you need.
You got Cascade Palmetto, perhaps is a good example.
Yes.
Cascade Palmetto is 2 lanes, it's forecasted to 4 lanes. If we do 4 lanes, that's the time to put the bike lanes.
Well, we can't the bike lanes, like, I know in some cities, they have certain times of the day on the weekend where certain lanes are used just for the bike, just for a few hours, you know, maybe 3 to 4 hours on a Saturday morning or something like that. But can't these roads, until, you know, we have the bike lane situation settled, at least be designated for bikes?
I think it's feasible. It's lots of education that we have to do. Because like you say, you know, many fatalities. Where I live, it happens the same thing. We're scared of driving on the roads. We have to go somewhere else, you know, Silver Comet.
Yeah.
But it's a driving, you got to say, keep right by there, drive safer, but, you know, but it's feasible. I think it's all about education. It's all about support. And all of us that live, you know, just drive only 5 miles above the positive speed limit, and we'll be fine. Yes, sir.
Is our land use map designed in such a way that it could limit our willingness to adopt other types of businesses? And I'm thinking specifically, data centers are now what is creating growth in many of the suburban districts, areas with large expanses. And these often require large areas. Will, let's say a merchant comes and they want to install a data center, whether it's Facebook or Google. Is our land use map adaptable enough to accommodate such an interest?
Let me change this.
Yes. Yes, aren't they currently designated that they can be put in an industrial area?
Yes. So to answer your question, yes, our land use map is adaptable enough for that. Our economic development director, Mr. Artie Jones, would be the person who would spearhead that type of effort, and I will work with him to make sure that we, and by the way, we do this fairly often. We get together with developers who come in to the city and make sure that that what's in our land use map, what's in our zoning code, matches up with what it is that they're trying to do. And if it doesn't, then we try to get them to where they're trying to go, at the same time protecting the citizens of the city of South Fulton and the neighboring, and the people who neighbor those proposed developments.
To that point, are there any discussions for mixed-use development in District 1 in the future?
Oh, absolutely. So, if you could point it out, we have basically 2 areas in District 1. And District 1 is probably unique in that most of our built environment was here, right, even before the city. So we have right at where we see Sandtown Crossing, we just kind of focused on finishing that out, which you're getting close. And catty corner to that, you have a mixed-use development project that is scheduled to come online. It's at Camp Creek between basically Wallace and Camp Creek on Hamilton Road on the left. It's about 61 acres there. They are, the latest update we have on that is they're working through financing because GDOT, because it's a longer, a state road and it would increase traffic, there would need to be significant traffic improvements made along that corridor before it could come online. And that price tag is pretty hefty. So to be honest, I don't know how soon, to be honest. But I think at some point it will get developed because really in District 1, that's the only place that it could go. We don't have any other place that's per our future land use where it could go. And we were intentional when we even changed it the last time that was really the only land left. I will say that it was a previous one, well, I don't wanna go into that, that's a specific case, I'll leave that alone. But there's some previous zonings that were in place under Fulton County that we may need to revisit, hopefully we get to revisit, that had some commercial that may not make the best sense. But we'll deal with those as they come along.
Did not do a good job.
But that's a great question because the density is coming.
Yeah.
South Fulton has we're repeatedly told that we have the most developable land in metropolitan Atlanta, which is slated to add many, many millions of people in the next 40 years. And what we learned when we went on our retreat is that South Fulton is really the third largest city in the state. If you just look at municipalities.
Municipalities.
And we're at 113,000 residents or so. 60,000 of those people moved here since 2010. That's how fast this city is growing. So as more people move, and those people are young. The average age is 34. So as that trend continues, we're gonna get more dense developments, we're gonna get more, and we're gonna have more commercial to support that.
And 34-year-olds want things that are different than our seniors, so it's a balancing act, you know, we all have to coexist.
But that's why we do this.
Exactly, and that's why we also know, you know, we need places for family entertainment, we need escape, we need all those things for families, so we're working diligently at that. It's a process. If you don't know, we have on our city's website an economic development plan that was adopted in 2020 that we've been more or less working from, where we identified 9 nodes where we'd allow increased density. We thought about it. We didn't just say, okay, we're gonna let everything come. And we've pretty much been working from that document, because again, it's not just allowing it to come in. We have to think about the sewer. Have to think about the infrastructure. I think y'all probably saw maybe about a couple months ago, Riverside Drive was closed. They were putting sewer down that street. So again, it is intentional. You may not think it, but we are absolutely planning for that as we bring these things online.
And
Yes,
one
ma'am.
question, and I just noticed, I don't know if it's a little house or a she shed, right on Hamilton Road. Have you all rethought the zoning on that? It looks like a little, one tiny house, big home. It's right
Was
on
that
the,
the
in Hamilton Road.
At the daycare.
yeah, I'm gonna say no comment on that one.
Well, let me say, people don't always come to the city and get advice, and then we'll have to deal with that
Oh, okay,
later.
because I'm saying, you know, once people see that in the neighborhood,
Well, you
we on acre lots, I can put 2 or 3 back on that.
Don't do
I
that.
No, we don't have anything in our code.
We are.
I don't wanna have to come talk to you.
I'm just telling you right now, we don't have anything in our code
Okay.
for that.
Tiny house, okay.
So I just
I
leave
don't
it
wanna
at
have to
that.
come talk to you.
My question is this the way we doing it for each district? Our land use plan and zone. We're gonna do it on a district basis?
Well-
I'm just asking because this is, District 1.
So the short answer to your question is that we don't know. Once we get into the comprehensive planning process, we get our consultant on board. We'll follow their lead as to what they think the best route would be. And we'll be meeting all over the city, so it might be based on districts, it might be based on just different areas, different nodes of development, et cetera. So we're not quite sure yet how
So
we'll
you're gonna follow the lead of the contractor, what you think?
basically.
Well, I say contract, but that's basically what we're doing. Yeah.
But the key takeaway, I'm gonna send out all this information as soon as he lets us know, and I'm gonna encourage each and every one of you to engage in the process, because it's very, very important. Just like that question you asked about what we're allowing, that will be dictated by your input in this process,
Okay.
okay? So it's important.
Well, I just wanna say thank you, because I've been pushing for this for some time now.
Are there any more questions? If not, I'll just open it up for general questions you might have about what's going on in District 1. I think we covered a whole lot today. And I also want to thank you. Let's thank our presenters. I think they were very thorough. We have material photos you can take. We have a lot of upcoming events. We had a calendar of events for District 1 for 2024. Please grab those, participate, come out and tell a neighbor. Thank you for participating in our first quarterly town hall meeting for 2024.
Is there anyone who needs the calendar for 2024?